Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and we've got a really cool guest with us today. She's an all-American singer, songwriter, and storyteller. And hopefully I won't butcher her first name again. Cherish Lee is the daughter of country music legend Johnny Lee, who wrote and performed Lookin For Love, and Hollywood actress Charlene Tilton, who played Lucy Ewing on the hit television series Dallas. Cherish has spent the last few years on the road, writing music, performing, getting married, starting a family, and recording her album, Tequila Cowgirl. This October, she released her first single, Tequila Cowgirl, along with her music video. The full album, Tequila Cowgirl, is going to drop in January 2018. I'd encourage you to go buy the record, or at a minimum, stream the hell out of it, because I listened to it. It's great. Cherish's voice is really sweet. It's amazing. The songs are very well written, and the music is very well produced and engineered. And we'll talk about some of the songs on today's conversation. Cherish, thank you so much for coming.
Wow, what a great introduction. Thank you.
I want to ask you about your name. You said you had a funny story, so tell me the story about your first name.
Okay, so obviously the way I got it was so great. My mom said that no matter what, she always wanted me to know that I was cherished.
Oh, cool.
So that is, so sweet and incredible. But this last birthday, my husband and I celebrated it. He took me to Skull's Rainbow Room in Pinner Alley in Nashville.
Okay.
And it's kind of a little secret. I hate that I actually just put it out there. But at 10 p.m., unbeknownst to us, they have a burlesque show that starts. And so funny. My husband didn't really know what burlesque was. And then, he starts to see it. He was like, should we stay? Or I was like, yeah, we'll go and stay, have a couple cocktails in us, right, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. So, of course, the lady of the hour was like, are we celebrating any birthdays in the house tonight? So it was like me and one other, fella who raised his hand, and she comes to me, and immediately I'm like, she's going to give me so much hell about my name. So I was like, I'm Cherish, but my stripper's name is Sarah with an H.
That was quick thinking. Very good.
It was one of those where I was like, I'm about to catch it. So she was like, Sarah with an H. And she was like, what do you do, Sarah with an H? And I guess I had just enough hooch in me to say, well, I'm singer-songwriter, but burlesque is my dream job. It's totally not. And she's like, well, come on, get up here. And I was like, oh, no. And then you have like hundreds of people in there. Sarah.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
I was like, oh, my God. So I get up there, and they've got the live band, and I just was like, well, I'll keep all my clothes on, but I'll just go ahead and shimmy the hell.
There you go. So your husband must have had a good laugh out of that, no?
Oh, my God. It was so funny.
That's awesome.
You're not supposed to take pictures or video in there, but he snapped a couple stills, and you could see like the band and the audience like going crazy in the back. It was so fun.
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, good. That's a good story. Thank you for telling that. That's actually really sweet, how your mom came up with that name.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, it's very sweet. Yeah, I want to make sure you want you to know you're always cherished. That's really cool.
And there's importance in names. So when we were naming our son, I wanted him to have a really strong name. And his full name is Wyatt Rain Christopher, and Wyatt means brave warrior. And we spelled his middle name Rain, like a horse rein. So altogether, it means brave warrior guided by Christ.
That's pretty cool. You know what? All the names, I had this conversation with someone else. All the names in Nashville are like super manly like that.
Yeah.
Like Matt Stone, or it's just something, they're like very macho names. So I think that's what is it? Wyatt Rain
Christopher.
Yeah. I went to high school with a guy named Wyatt. He was this big monstrous dude. So.
Well, my little one, his dad is 6'4", so.
There you go. He'll be another one. Yeah. Wyatt Rain Christopher. Good. Well, congratulations with everything. And congratulations on the record. So let's talk about your album.
Yeah.
I think I read something that you sent me, or else you were telling me that you made the record yourself, and the cost to make it was not very exorbitant like most people think it is to make an album. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it was kind of one of these things, and at first I was hesitant to talk about this, but I do think it is cool. It's rebellious for sure. and it's not the norm. I was under contract, unfortunately, for many years, and I was at a standstill with that. So as soon as I was able to completely get out of that and I was in the clear, I had just had, our baby, and I was like, I need to be wise in how much I want to put into this, but I've got time to make up for, and I still want my music out there. So I've got $1,500 to record this album. And everybody said, Cherish, you can't do that here in Nashville. And I said, well, then you don't know Cherish Lee. So it was a lot of prayer and determination. And Nate Wadan had never produced anything before, but he was a hell of a musician. It still is.
Who is this?
His name is Nate Wadan, and I saw him originally years back in Texas playing drums for an artist, and he got off stage, and I was like, man, I've got to work with you.
Really? So this, how long ago is this?
This was probably 4.5 years ago that I had seen him.
So now if I was a guitarist, I would say, you trusted a drummer to produce your album.
I know.
Wow, that is courageous.
So, but he was so good, and his taste in music, and I adore his wife, and it was just one of those things that I wanted him to originally just play drums, and I could not get a studio. I mean, it was just the prices were cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching going up, and I was talking to him, and I said, man, I found this one spot that's doable, but they don't have the means to record you live, and I want to have you on it. I'm like, I want to record in somebody's basement. And he was like, are you serious?
Which is pretty common.
Well, yeah. And he goes, well, we can go ahead and record it in my basement. I was like, are you serious? He goes, yes. I was like, all right. And he gave me the security and the means to not only be an artist, but most importantly, be a mother. So no one flinched at Wyatt coming in the studio with me. It was, the album sounds amazing for how it was done.
It does.
Thank you. One of the songs I was actually holding my son while recording.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That must have been a pretty special kind of, as a mom, right? I could imagine that was a pretty good experience for you to do that.
Yeah. And he loves music. I mean, he's so enamored by it and wouldn't take his eyes off of, our buddy Wade, who was playing guitar, and he played some bass. And I mean, Wyatt was just so tuned in and focused. So it's neat to see that as a parent, Yeah.
So you recorded this basically in Nate's garage, in Nate's basement.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. And then did he have buddies locally that you got to play on, session guys, or just friends of his that got to play on the tracks, or?
Yeah. He had some people. I brought in some of my people. The guy who laid down, the steel on the album lives in Texas. So, Nate emailed him the tracks. I have a buddy, Mike from Mike and the Moon Pies. For all of your Texas listeners know him. He's singing on a duet, and he was in, I want to say he was in Oklahoma or something. But anyways, he recorded the vocals in the hotel room there in a casino, and
that is
then
so cool.
And put those in. But you can't tell that, he wasn't in studio, because I didn't have, the money to fly him in and all that good stuff. And he's busy and on the road. And then my fiddle player is a girl named Olivia Kirkle. Hold on. I do this on stage. When I have a cocktail in me, it just falls right out. But it's still
wait a
right
minute.
now.
It's 2:15. You didn't have a cocktail, did you?
I'm still drinking coffee.
Yes.
Mom, it's different. Olivia Corcola, she's from Canada, and she's a hell of a player. So I brought her in, and another guitar player in, and Mike. So
that's fantastic. But I hear a lot of artists will send me a couple of tracks before they do the interview, and oftentimes it's a similar situation where I'll say wow, who mixed that and engineered it? I did. And I think the tools are just so available now that why not? Why spend $40,000 or $100,000 to make a record if you could spend $2,000?
Yeah, to be wise about it. And it's one of those things like when I was finally released from the last contract that I was in, I called a guy and he was like, yeah, I'll get you Carrie Underwood's players and put you in the studio and we can do, 10 grand. And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I completely respect and admire what they do and the people who they play with. That's not what I'm looking for. It's a little too cookie cutout for me. And I just want it to be authentic. I want it to be a little bit different. It's, it's nothing necessarily brand new. We've got some Beatle flair in there and, classic country sounds, but I wanted it just to be different than what's on the radio.
Well, I think he accomplished that. I think he did a really good job, and it's really clear. I would never know that, this was not produced in a proper studio. Question for you. You said you just got out of a contract. How long were you, if you could talk about this, if you can't, it's totally cool. Were you with a publishing company you had a contract with or recording company?
No, you know what? I'll be respectful, even though
they weren't.
Yeah, it was a very, very hairy situation. And at one point I was told that this person knew Knee Breakers. Lovely.
Nice.
But there was one contract, and then as soon as I thought I was safe with some people, I wasn't. But that's okay. I learned a lesson twice. And, it's like you said, now we've got so much available to us that it's like, why would I give the power away?
Yeah. As a side note, I hate that someone said that to you. I find like that's so predatory to tell like a woman. You see these people often, they're like really big with women and kids. I hate that. Like I'm like old school. That's so predatory. It like turns me off. Sorry. I had to get that off my chest.
Well, thank you. No, I don't want to offend anybody out there, but we are big believers in the Second Amendment. I'm like,
great. Yeah. No,
by all means, come to my front door.
It's just a predatory thing to say to a woman, I mean, if you're going to do something, do it. Threaten a woman. Okay, what's next? Threaten your kid. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's just not here nor there. Let's talk about some of your songs.
Yeah.
Ain't Your Grandma's Country Song.
Grandma's country song.
That was some really good playing in that song, and specifically the fiddle, the gal you mentioned, and the slide guitar. It's like that's a proper power anthem, country rock power anthem.
Thank you. Yeah, it's super fun, super cool. I wrote that with a gentleman named Bill DeLuigi. He's got a couple.
Yeah, I know Bill.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill is
That's funny.
Is a dear friend of mine. Actually, One Pillow Over was the very first song I got to write with Bill.
Okay.
Here in Nashville. So him and I have written a bunch. But yeah, we sat down and we were on the roof of the publishing house that he was with, and I said, I've got an idea. He goes, I've got an idea. And he said, this ain't your mama's country song. Or I said, this ain't your grandma's country song. And he goes, no way. He said, I was going to say, this ain't your mama's country song. He goes, grandma's, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So we ended up writing this song really quickly, but it's a cool song.
It really is. Is that song going to be last on the album? Just curious.
I think it's going to be first and then Tequila Cowgirl. And it was kind of a toss up on like which we released first, but I feel like Tequila is the proper introduction to Cherish Lee.
Yeah, it's a great song. Let's talk about that. Is that song about like a relationship gone south, or what's
No, Tequila Cowgirl is so one of my favorite songs that my dad has done is Cherokee Fiddle. I love the story, I love the imagery, I love the feel of it. And I lived in Texas with my dad. We lived on a ranch in a tiny town called Sulphur Springs. So we lived there. And I was going back and forth from Nashville a lot. So I ended up making the decision to move out here. And Tequila Cowgirl was one of those stories that came to be because when I was living on the ranch, I worked with the cattle. I helped birth cows. I had a mule there. And once she turned 2, I hate the term break her, but because she was amazing and so easy to work with. I mean, her and I were simpatico. But anyways, so, you pluck the chickens, milk the or no, pluck the cows, milk the chickens, basically kind of life. But once I left, I pictured what it kind of would have been if I would have stayed there, and how different my life would have been. And it just kind of painted this superhero, badass woman who worked on the ranch and did her thing and loved Jesus and tequila.
Yeah, I saw that in the notes. That was pretty funny. So it was a proper working like farm sort of. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Did you did you learn anything from doing that? Like, how did that, like, any lessons that you took away from doing that?
I learned so much. It breaks my heart that I wasn't there longer, to be honest. I was chased by a bull, by far the scariest moment of my entire life, even over a motorcycle accident and having to like learn how to walk again. Being chased by a bull, the hands-on.
Did you have any takeaways from working on that farm and like any lessons that you learned?
I learned so much while I was there. Truth be told, man, my heart like wants to go back to that lifestyle. The character that comes out in you, it's hard work. I feel like if I was to do that every day and then get my fill of the city and busy life on the weekends playing music, I feel like I could live forever. Because you're up when the sun is up. There's no days off. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas or the animals have to be fed during the winter time. If the troughs freeze over, you got to go out there and break the ice. And it's amazing.
That's great. So it was a good experience for you. You took away from it.
Yeah.
At this point, most of your efforts, I assume, are getting geared up towards promoting the release of the record.
Yeah.
Any cool things in particular that you got lined up?
As we are talking, I'm like sending out emails. I'm like, what else can I do? Because everything that I have done for this album is all me. This is like so backwards from where the industry really is. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do a radio tour. And they're like, well, proper radio tour, that's like about $100,000. And I was like, So yeah. It's very interesting to see where a lot of the political stuff is, and in the business that a lot of people don't know. A lot of the stuff that you're hearing on the radio is there because there is big money behind it pushing it. So that's why it's like with this, I am learning so much. Right now I'm talking to a few different booking agents to go ahead and start some shows in January and get that going. But it's really, so much of this is going to be based on the fans and, and the rest of my efforts.
And I'm assuming you'll be on places like iTunes, Spotify, and the usual suspects, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I bet it's probably a little bit intimidating, I would imagine. Maybe intimidating is the wrong word. Overwhelming is probably a better word.
At first, yeah. You know what I quickly learned with this album was the second that it started to get stressful, then that wasn't the way to go. Because so far everything has fallen into place beautifully. So if it was a matter of, oh God, that's too expensive. Like, how do I do that? Can I swing that? Like, is that wise? And where does that put my family? And oh God, how would I do that? And then I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right for this project.
That's great.
So yeah.
No, that's great. So you wait everything, if you're going basically organically and letting like the universe sort of guide you into, the right decisions to make. No, honestly, and like,
yeah.
I'm a business person on that end, and every time either myself or clients of mine have done that, there's a lot less stress and a lot more likelihood of success than, squeezing a round peg into a square hole kind of thing.
Yeah, man. You know what I learned from the other two contractual things is each time I had a feeling And it was there, and through counsel or whatever, because they were awesome opportunities, and wow, how often does this come around, to listen to that little voice. It is so intuitive and so important, and you do know better. So,
well, good. I really hope everything works out.
thank you. Me too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, just kidding.
I was referred to by Shay Watson, who's a real successful and very versatile performer and songwriter. And he specifically said that, his words to me was, he goes, "Oh, you gotta call Cherish. She's an amazing songwriter." Have you guys worked on projects and I know he knows Bill as well.
Yeah, I met Shay through Bill. Yeah, we have written, ironically enough, we've just written Christmas songs.
Did you? He's all over. I mean, he's so busy, man. What he's doing with his sync and his licensing stuff. I mean, he's cranking.
I met him and I looked at him. I said, "Shay, you have my dream job." Truly. I mean, how cool is that to be able to just go ahead and you get your songs placed in film and television and ads, and so that's a whole new world. And he is such a dear and such a gentleman, and kind of taking me in and allowing me to be a part of that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
So we've written a couple Christmas songs, and the last one, they needed it in French. And he goes, do you by any chance know French? And I was like, just a little bit. So let's go ahead and see if we can make this work. So I think at some point, maybe next year, we'll release the Christmas song.
How do you know French?
I don't, but you never say no.
You know what? Him and do you know his partner, Klaus?
No, I have not met Klaus yet.
Okay, so both of them, I know Klaus for sure told me stories about something real similar. I said that they basically both said yes when it was no, and to get a gig, and it worked out favorably for both of them. But they have it's great what they do, but I mean, it's also, they have to write, produce, perform, engineer, everything, 2 songs a day.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of work.
It's a ton of responsibility.
To work with Shay, the first time I worked with Shay, I was like, what is happening? This is so different than any writing session I was really ever a part of, because we kind of discuss a topic. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. And then next thing I know, he's putting down the music and he starts to record it. And then he's like, how are the lyrics coming along? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, they're good. They're coming along. So, and then we kind of combine forces at the end and record it right then and there. And so with the one French song, this particular client wanted something that was a little dreamy and nice, and so we had just finished it, recorded it, and they were like, actually, we've changed directions. We need it like this.
Yeah, he said that happens.
Oh, okay. So we just spent another couple hours doing that, and it's a lot of fun. It's really neat, and it is a lot of work.
Yeah, and he's a very good, genuine guy about that. You're right.
Yeah.
What's the most, if you can recall, is there the most funny or extreme thing you said yes to when it was really a no, like a situation like that? Yeah, I know French.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I grew up doing musical theater, and I was a part of this big theater company for this particular show called MAME. And if anybody is familiar with it, there's that part in the show where there are ballerinas dancing on point. And the choreographer absolutely loved me. And he was like, okay, Cherish, you dance point, right? And I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I came home and I was like, well, need to go buy point shoes. My feet were bloody and battered and so torn up. And you couldn't, if you really studied my feet by the time the show was put up, you'd be able to tell that I wasn't an actual prima ballerina. But man, I faked it with my face and my arms, and they were so gracious and lovely, and yeah.
Very cool.
Oof, that was a tough one.
That's good hustle. I like that. Is this your first entire release on your own?
Yes.
Cool. Have you had cuts published or on hold with other artists before?
No, that I am looking to get into that now, but I have had certain things offered to me, but the amount of years that they wanted to hold on to it was a little scary to me. So I never fully jumped on that.
You know, I always wondered about that because I ask guys and like, it's just like a gentleman's agreement. And I'm like, well, and it's like, imagine someone says, oh yeah, I'm going to buy your house. Probably. And then you got to take it off the market. I mean, I wondered about that.
We, the coolest one, and there's a song that's not on this album, and ironically enough, I'm already thinking about the next one, which is hilarious.
That's great.
But this song in particular will be on the next album. It's called Diamonds and Flaws, and Reba McEntire was actually very strongly considering that one. Wow. So she ended up passing on it, but just the fact that she had listened to my song and loved it and was considering it, I was like, that is the biggest compliment I think I've ever been paid. So yeah, for sure. That was really neat. Definitely a song you need to pay attention to. Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. So we'll do it on the next one. And then I have a song on this album that a publishing house wanted to keep for, I think it was like 7 years. And I was like, oh, thank you, but no.
Like, 7 years. It's just there's an opportunity cost, you know, in doing that and not being able to do something else with it.
Yeah, just in case.
7 years. That's a long time.
That's a long time. So.
Anyway. What prompted you to put the album together in the first place?
It was really one of those where I wanted to do it. I've been wanting to do it, which is why I got into those other contractual agreements before. But I was like, you know what? I think what I took away from all of that was the fact that it was ballsy to walk away and to stand up for myself, especially in the last one, because that one was going to go to courts and stuff. That could have gone south very quickly. But I didn't let the person bully me into basically what they were asking for. And I was like, I'm going to stand up for myself because I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm going to hold my ground, and I'm going to believe that like God did not bring me this far to just drop me right here. So, and once everything was all said and done, I was like, man, I'm going for it. I'm just going to do it because that way, like my son can hear my music. It will be out there. I will have accomplished that for myself.
Good for you.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad it worked out.
Thank you.
Did you grow up there in Nashville or did you grow up in Sulphur Springs?
No, it's so funny. I grew up in LA, in Los Angeles with my mom. And was, and then my dad was in Texas and all over the place. So I went back and forth, and my mom was on Dallas and dad was a country singer. So the country was there.
Right.
It was, it was definitely a part of my life, even though I was from Los Angeles.
How long did you live in LA until, how old were you when you left LA?
I left LA in, I kept trying to get out of there, but like 2014, actually.
Oh, wow. So you're
in Texas.
Oh, wow. 2014?
Yep.
Oh, so you've only you're in Nashville now.
Yeah. So okay. I was in Texas for 2014. So I was there it was the very beginning. And so I was there for almost 2 years, and then came out to Nashville for a little, yeah. But like I said, I was going back and forth for a while. So,
what's the toughest adjustment or biggest difference between LA and Nashville?
Oh my gosh, nothing difficult at all. The people are so nice here. There's traffic, anywhere you go, but I love it. I even though I was born and raised in Los Angeles and I have the most incredible people out there, I never fully felt like it was home to me.
Interesting.
But once I got to Texas, I was like, oh, this feels right. And then moving to Nashville, I was like, all right, the city is close, but that's okay. I'm still in the South.
Yeah, well, everybody I've met in Nashville is just so
The nicest
Yeah,
people.
everybody's just so genuine and really very nice. 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been real good.
And the most talented. Oh my God, you can that's a cool thing about Nashville. You can stay as busy as you want to stay or as relaxed as you need to. But the amount of talent here is just mind-boggling, man. And it's everywhere.
It
So
is. Hey, so both your parents were entertainers. Your dad was a country musician. Your mom was a pretty famous actress. What was your, not from a gossip standpoint or anything, but what was your childhood like growing up?
yeah, it was lots of traveling. I was introduced to so much at a young age, and it was incredible. I feel like it really allowed me to become a well-rounded, versatile person. So, people ask like, "Oh, who are your influences?" And I'm like, "Oh man, like no one would ever know that Moonlight Serenade was the one album I could never live without, Like they would just wouldn't expect that. So I just you grow up in honky tonk and jazz clubs and on the set, and it was fascinating, and you get to see how important the fans are.
That's really interesting. So that was probably a really good lesson to learn early on.
Very much so. My dad still to this day, I mean, he is probably the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. He is, in his 70s and just got a new tour bus and is on the road playing these shows, and he's so great. He's such an awesome entertainer, and he will stay until the last person has had their hand shook and had their picture taken, so no air up his skirt.
That's awesome. Very cool. Without having like a therapy session, because, Lord knows we all need to get over some aspects of our past, but and I don't mean this in a negative way, I mean, it could be in a positive way. What was the biggest impact on your work ethic from your childhood, I guess, and on who you are today?
Okay. So what do you mean?
So like growing up in that situation where you had two very driven people, obviously,
Yeah.
because, you don't success is not casual. You have to work very hard to become successful. Yeah. What was the biggest impact? How did that impact your work ethic?
I think so. Like I had just talked about with my dad, he is the hardest working person I know. The thing I learned from like my mom, this is kind of going back to saying yes when it's a no kind of thing. My mom snuck onto the studio lot. They wouldn't see her for an audition. She wanted to get in. She stole the scripts and all that. And finally, I mean, after like knock, 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 door closed, knock, door closed. And finally they were like, because they could not cast Lucy Ewing. So finally they were like, all right, we will see you. Like and that was it. They wouldn't give her a script or anything. So she went in, snuck, stole the script, came back. She walked in, and Leonard Katzman said, if you can walk and talk at the same time, this role is yours. And
wow.
she was a go-getter. And so I saw the amount of work that had to go into all of this. Like my dad, and I didn't fully understand my father until my brother passed away in 2014. But I thought,
sorry about that.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. But I thought, okay, well, Dad's just not coming to my graduation, or Dad's not going to be here for this. But when my brother passed away, my dad had a show that night, and he was like, what am I going to do? Cancel the show? Like, what's done is done. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I don't want to piss off a bunch of people, and this job will go ahead and pay for the funeral. Like, why would I cancel it? And so I went and I met him out there, and we held hands. He went on stage, and I went out and I sung with him. He got off stage. We cried all the way back to Sulphur Springs, Texas, and then drove the next morning to go take care of what we had to take care of. And it was seeing my parents do what they had to do to put food on the table, to make it happen. And my best friend Juliana she called me. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting any auditions and this and that. And or I tried and they didn't call me back. And I just don't understand. I'm like, girl, you could have chosen to be a doctor and that would have been easier than this business.
Right.
So I learned that from my parents. And at times I'm like, all right, I don't know if we're in our right minds, but let's do it, you know? So, which is maybe honestly how I chose to finish out this album instead of running away with my tail in between my legs.
That's excellent. That's a great story. And I think anybody who runs their own business, and that's what your parents were doing, you know,
Yeah.
running their own businesses. People who don't do that often don't understand that it's not always a straight line.
Oh God, no.
You know, not that you have to do unethical things at all. I'm not saying or implying that, but you got to hustle, and hustle looks really different in different situations, you know?
Well, and it was the same kind of thing with my dad. My, Gilly was performing, and my dad went, and Gilly came off stage, and this was before they had ever met. And he goes, "Oh, hey man, yeah, I opened for you at such and such show, and I wanted to stay and see you play, but I had to run off to another gig." And Gilly was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you." And he goes, "Well, do you want to come up and play a few songs?" And Dad said, "Yeah, I guess so. I gotta go soon, but yeah, I'll go ahead and play a few songs." So Dad got up there and played a few songs, and that relationship was born. And years later, after Urban Cowboy and all of that, Dad said to Gilly, he goes, "Remember when I first came up to you?" And he goes, "Man, I had never met you before." And Gilly's like, "I knew it." He goes, "Yeah, I didn't remember you." So
That is so cool.
so both of my parents basically like got into this by just hustling.
That's awesome.
Being wise. You know, they're being savvy.
Yeah, what a great environment what a great lesson to learn at a young age. That's fantastic.
It's colorful.
Yeah, very, because it's real life.
Yeah.
You know, not some sugar-coated BS, you know?
Yeah, very much so.
What's the most important thing your dad taught you? The hustle?
No, he said, he goes, "Don't ever try to sound like anybody else. There's only one Cherish Lee. Don't change your voice. Don't alter what you do." And honestly, where my mom is a little more prim and proper and, "Oh, I don't know if you should say that," I wouldn't necessarily like ruffle anybody's feathers and don't talk about the music business and what it takes to like get on the radio now. And my dad will he is who he is, and that's that. So I'm learning how to
how to find your place between the two.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you don't learn that right away. You should do it by making mistakes, and you know, that's really cool. That's good.
Yeah.
And what's the most important thing your mom taught you?
Oh, the most important thing that my mom has taught me, there's so much. But as far as the most important lesson that my mom has taught me, I'm going to go ahead and say that even when shit gets really bad, that doesn't mean that you're going to be taken down, you know, to keep going and smile, and that the cup is half full. That's my mom.
She's an optimist.
She's one of those people that, because, you know, I remember when certain times in her career were slow. She's got a really crazy story as well in her life. It's incredible. I've seen her give her testimony and stand in front of people and talk about it, and not a dry eye in the house. But there would be times where she wasn't working, just couldn't book a job. And we didn't but somehow we always managed to have dog food, cat food. And well, we had an event that night where we had to get all dressed up. So we'll just eat there.
Yeah.
You know? So
it's the hustle again.
Yeah. It's the hustle of the business. So anyways, yeah.
That's great. What's your superpower?
My superpower. You'd have to ask my husband this. I don't know. That's so funny that you said that, because all of my friends and people that meet me, they're like, we don't know how you do it. We have no clue how you get through this. We have 2 dogs. I just rescued a third with with 3 legs. Got my son. I'm releasing this album, doing everything myself. And, so you're learning how to be a parent and a wife and run a business and all of this. And they're like, we don't know how you do it. So I don't know what you call that superpower.
What do you think? Think about it. What do you think?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. I'd have to get back to you. Hold on. Let me think.
Yeah,
take
your time.
I'm going to text my husband.
Honey, what's my superpower?
That's exactly what it's going to read.
That's so funny.
Let's see. I'm going to text it.
This
Hey,
is
honey,
great.
exclamation mark. What's my superpower? Question mark.
This is awesome. This is a first live texting. Hey, and just let me tell everybody that Cherish looks like the spitting image of your mom. I mean, it's like, oh, come on. Everybody's had to tell you that, no?
I feel like it really depends on who I'm standing next to. I have a lot of my dad's features, and
Right.
then I've got some of my mom's. I don't know if it's mainly because I'm a blonde, or I don't know.
You know what? In all fairness, you're 100% right, because I like, it's not like I've ever seen your mom up close or anything, but you know, when I first saw your photo, I was like, wow, she looks just like her mom. But I mean, how close have I seen your mom? Blonde hair, you know, blue eyes, you know, you resemble her, but you're right. I don't know. I haven't seen her up close, and I haven't seen your dad. So maybe you look more like your dad.
A lot of people say that. I really get both, but it's like my son. Everybody is like, oh, a spitting image of your husband and looks just like you from the nose down. So I'm like, okay, it's so odd.
All right. Well, we'll wait for your husband to get back to your superpower. Favorite place you've traveled? Because I'm sure you've been all over.
Favorite place I have traveled? Man, I love Europe. Love it. I love it. I love it. We've been lots of places in Europe. I love London. Paris was really fantastic, and to travel France. But London, I think.
What do you like about it? My wife's from the UK. What do you like about it?
All of the culture, number one. All the museums. I am a total geek at heart. I mean, you could lose me in the Egyptian museum. Like, forget about it. Yeah. So really the hustle and the bustle, and it's just the cobblestone roads, and now it's changing, but the fashion and the people. And I remember at one point, I was 18, but I think, you could drink when you were 18 there.
Yes. Yeah. You could drink when you're 16 there, actually.
Okay. So yeah. And I was sitting in a pub, and there was a sign, and it said, unfortunately now it's not a funny thing, but I remember back when, they said, if you see any suspicious baggage, let us know so we don't blow up. But now it's unfortunately that's more of the norm, sadly enough. Totally. Oh, I don't even know if I should have told that story. Gosh darn it all. But yeah, no, it was good. But London, yeah, the museums, incredible.
2 more questions, and I'm going to let you go. What's the toughest decision you've ever had to make, or the hardest thing you've had to do so far?
In life or career?
You tell me.
The hardest decision I've had to make in my personal life, I think, was leaving my first husband. And because we had only been married 8 months, and it was a very unhealthy relationship very quickly. And I noticed myself becoming somebody who I never wanted to be, but it was trusting myself to make that decision and say, I love you, but I love me more. And I've already been through enough. I have nothing else to give you. But it was one of those moments where after losing my brother, you saw that life really was made up of black and white. There was no living in gray area. There was right and wrong, and that was it. So learning how to walk in that trust of this isn't right. And I think I'm going to like be okay by saying that's not all right. And I'm going to go this way. So I think personally that was the hardest choice, but the best choice I've ever made, because my now husband is, I'll just be with him forever for the rest of my life. He's my best friend. He is the person I look up to in my life. And then career-wise was not settling with the last person that I was in a contract with, not settling on his terms, again, trusting myself and saying, no, I think I'm okay. I didn't do anything wrong here. So, yeah.
That was so real of you to answer that like that. I really appreciate that. That was really, and I'm really glad you did those things. I'm, again, I don't know you. I'm proud of you and for you that you did those things. I really am. That's good.
Yeah, they turned out well. But like I said, I think you always have to trust your gut.
Yeah. Well, there's decisions that, at least for me, like the tough ones, those are the ones that, have, you're going to get the most value out of it. Deciding what flavor ice cream is really not going to impact your life too much. But, making a big decision like that, that's going to have a big make or break on it. So
yeah. Your hips maybe, but not your life.
Spoken like a woman.
So true. Oh my God. I feel like, should we call my husband?
Yeah, it's up to you if you're good with that. That's so funny.
He builds custom furniture. Well, now I'm really curious. I'm like, what is my superpower?
What is your superpower?
My superpower, I mean, it could be rescuing animals, but
it could be. That's a very
after
real.
This last one, I'm like,
that's a legit superpower in your case.
Hey, honey, hey, you're on my interview with me, so be mindful of that. What's my superpower?
What is your superpower?
Yeah, what's my superpower?
I love that you reminded me to be mindful.
You know what? I was thinking the same thing, because if my wife had called me that, this conversation might go down the broadcasting road. So I was thinking, I was like, man, that was very good wisdom there that you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness, off the cuff. Oh, I'm not sure the appropriate answer for this.
I know, it's a really hard
I
one.
would say your superpower is, I'll say it's sexy. That's what I'm going with.
Oh, sexy superhero? Sexy superpower?
I would say, and you're wise.
Wise.
You're a wise woman.
Oh, wise woman. Okay.
You, yeah. I would say that those things.
Sexy, wise, animal rescuer, superhero power. All right. Well, I love you.
Superpower is handling more leashes with better than anybody else.
I'm a juggler. There we go. There it is. That's my superpower. I love you.
That's legit.
I love you.
Bye, baby.
So you're a juggler.
Yeah.
Get a lot of things done at once. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will have a good laugh with this tonight. So if nothing else. Hey, one last question, Cherish. What's your definition of happiness?
Definition of happiness.
Knowing that it changes situationally and time to time.
Well, no, I mean, fully, I don't know that I can put a definition to it, but I will tell you this: for the very first time in my life, I'm walking in it right now, because even if nothing happens with the music, or doesn't matter where we live or whatever, between my husband and my baby and my animals, like, that's really all that matters.
You're good.
So I think my definition of happiness is going to be family.
That's great.
Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough. You're a very genuine, very nice person. And, the first time I spoke to you, you were so much you're just like a very fun person. You give out a really good vibe. You're like, really easygoing. And I hope your album just blows up. And tell everybody, where can they get your Tequila Cowgirl is a single, and the EP. Where can people get it?
Yeah, wait, but really quickly, before that, my favorite part was when you had first texted me, and I don't even think a full 2 seconds had gone by, and I called you, and you're like, hello? Hey, Greg, it's Cherish. And you're like, that just seems so eager. I was like, you don't
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say it seems eager. I said, you're supposed to wait a little bit before you call me. I didn't say it seemed eager. I said, you're supposed to wait a little bit.
Greg.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I was like, you don't understand. In this house, you caught me in a minute where there happens to be just peace and quiet. And then at the end of our conversation, do you remember the baby started and the dog started barking? And I was like, okay, now I got to go.
I told that story to my wife that night. I said it was so cute. I said she was just like the 1 minute of peace. So she just like it was. And I appreciated you calling, honestly.
Oh, my gosh, of course.
Where can people get your record?
Find my go to www.cherishleemusic.com, CHERISHLEE music.com, and that will take you to all of my social media sites. Apparently I'm on Twitter, and I have a good amount of followers, so thank you to everybody, because I have no idea how I do that.
You're a juggler. It's your superpower. That's how.
Yeah, but I don't know. Something is connected to my Twitter. I'm like, did I even set that up for real? So anyways, but my Instagram, my Facebook, all that. Music is on iTunes. It's on Amazon. And like I said before, I think it's cool that I've done my part. Now it's really up to the fans and the listeners to do their part, and how they really are the reason why people become successful in this business. So thank you, and I appreciate you, and forever.
And if you're going to listen to the 2 songs, Tequila Cowgirl and Ain't Your Grandma's Country Song. They're both great cuts, and I think you'll do really well.
Thank you, my dear.
Send Cherish money. Buy her stuff, CherishLeeMusic.com. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Go check out Cherish Lee at her website, CherishLeeMusic.com. The album is called Tequila Cowgirl. The single is called Tequila Cowgirl, and she is a Tequila Cowgirl. Thank you so much, Cherish, for coming on the podcast, spending time with us. I really appreciate it. I wish you only the best of everything. Everybody, go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get notified about future episodes, along with some other cool new stuff we'll be doing for guitar players. Now, be nice. Go play your guitar and have some fun. Till next time, keep juggling. I'm out. Peace.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.